On October 2nd, 1869, in Porbandar, India, a child was born by the name of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Gandhi's father was the Porbandar state chief, and you could say he didn't grow up poor. Gandhi's mother was a very religious woman, and you could say that's where Gandhi got his Hinduism from. He wanted to teach everything he learned from his mother to the Indian people. The religious things he would say are these: do not fight with each other, respect other people's beliefs, be a vegetarian, and his last thing he would say is keep yourself clean. To continue his education, Gandhi goes to England to read about the law. At that time, he was very surprised because England also had a lot of people struggling, and he was surprised to see the English people suffering like this because he only thought India was like that. To learn more about the world, he goes to South Africa and he gets more surprised, and he realizes this place is even worse than India. Anyways, Gandhi finishes his education and he tries to find a job in Britain. But at that time, since racism was very high, they wouldn't offer any good jobs to Gandhi. He said, "I'm a lawyer and I'm educated," but they wouldn't give him any job related to that. He's not impressed with what he's dealing with, so he decides to return to India, and he has one goal in mind: to help the Indian people not suffer. He believed that even if the British run this country, they hate us. And this shows how he was treated in England because he dedicated his life to help the Indian people. He started the journey to get the British out of his country, but unfortunately, they kind of owned the whole country, and that is why they really start to bother him. They would put him in prison, arrest him here and there, torture him, and they basically tried to shut him up. But he wasn't gonna shut up. Any opportunity he got, he said what was on his mind. Because of all this noise of him getting arrested, tortured, and imprisoned, the Indian people realized that this guy is right and we should listen to him. And that made him very famous all around India. In the 1920s, Gandhi was getting so famous that the Indian people that were his fans were willing to go to prison for what Gandhi stood for. And there was hope in the Indian people's heart that India could once again be independent. World War II started, and every Indian soldier was fighting for the British Army. And all the battles that were happening in Asia were being fought by the Indian. In the entire span of World War II, 90,000 Indian soldiers died for the British Army. With this happening and the things that Gandhi was saying, it made the Indian people furious. And that caused the Indian independence to happen 2 years later. This was the short version of the story of Gandhi and the independence of India. Gandhi got his goal, but he wasn't all that good either, and he has some ugly truths within him. Gandhi was a Hitler fan, and one of the main reasons was that he fought the British, and he liked it when the Germans would attack England. When you read about it, it's interesting because he would mock the British and say, when you come to our land and take over, nobody's supposed to say anything. But when the Germans attack your land, you're supposed to fight back? Gandhi was anti-racism, but only between the British and the Indians. Gandhi was extremely racist towards Africans. He was such a racist that he believed that the entire continent of Africa should be in white people's hands. Like, for example, you could say he was a fan of Leopold II. If you've seen our video about the worst emperor in history, you'll get to know Leopold II. Gandhi would even say that all African people are wild. He would even call them kafir. Kafir is a word that Muslims call non-believers, but the British took this word and used it as a racial slur towards African people. And unfortunately, Gandhi used that racial slur towards the African people frequently. When they realized how racist Gandhi actually is, not only did the African people go against him, but a lot of Indian people stopped giving him credit because how racist he was. At the time Gandhi was studying in England, there was segregation and everything was different, from white people to colored people. Things like restaurants, bathrooms, water fountains, and other stuff. And Gandhi believed that he should be standing with the white people and not the colored, and obviously he wasn't allowed in those lines. Gandhi was a special kind of racist. He would say that Indian and white people are top of the leaderboard, and the rest of the people are lower tiers, and at the bottom are the African people. It's good to know that Gandhi got married at the age of 13, but he would never really spend time with his wife. They were married until the day they died, but it seemed like they were not together. And Gandhi even said, "Not only do I not spend time with my wife, but I don't spend time with any woman." But the stories that have surfaced from Gandhi's life showed that he was a pedophile, and he would like to sleep next to little girls. Anti-Gandhi people, which there are a lot of them, say that not only was he a fascist racist, but he was a pedophile as well. And when he said, "I'm with no woman," he was right, because he was with little girls. So what kind of a woman was Gandhi's wife? Gandhi would write that he doesn't even like looking at her, and he didn't even want to spend a day with her. She dies before Gandhi, and that was because of bronchitis. And it's written that Gandhi could help her beat the bronchitis, but it seems like he didn't want to help her. All the things we said about Gandhi have proof, and we just don't make them up. On our channel, we're not gonna make stuff up about someone so famous around the world. So we're gonna put all the sources in the description if you want to check them out. Eventually, time will bring the truth out, and you can't hide the truth for this long. History is like the sea, and the sea doesn't hide anything forever. It will eventually spit it out. And that is why they say history is the light of the future.